Hello, dear DSC candidates. Welcome back to my Grammar for Success channel. I am Koresh Babu, a retired lecturer in English from Hyderabad. In today's video, I am going to teach you about the stanza forms in poetry. This literary aspect is very important for your DSC examination. Therefore, I request all of you to watch this video till the end without skipping it in the middle. I also request all of you to consider subscribing to my channel and also sharing this video with all those friends of yours that are also going to take the DSC examination along with you. Thank you so much. Now let's get into the video. Stanza forms in poetry. This is the topic of this video, you know very well, and this literary aspect is very important for your DSC examination. Therefore, I request all of you to pay a very good attention to this video till the end. And before I talk to you about the various stanza forms in poetry, I would like to tell you a few very important introductory points about the stanza forms. The first point is here: the stanza forms are an essential. Essential means very important aspect of poetry structure. That means in any poem, you take any poem, this stanza form plays a crucial role or an essential role in that, because it's not an exaggeration to say that there is no poem at all in poetry without any stanza form. That means in every poem there will be some stanza or the other stanza form. Therefore, this stanza form is an essential aspect of poetry structure, because these stanza forms help shape what? The poem's rhythm. Poem's rhythm means poem's beat or poem's cadence. Okay, some systematic movement will be there in every line of the poem. So that systematic movement of the poem, poetic line itself is called rhythm. So these stanza forms contribute largely to the poem's rhythm. One point, they also contribute to the flow of the poem. That means flow means some sweetness or some melody, you know very well. And they also contribute what? To this aesthetic impact. So whoever reads that poem, this particular poem throws some beautiful influence on that reader. Okay, whoever might read that poem, so he will have the aesthetic impact of that poem. That means, you know, he will get the beautiful influence of that poem. So that's why in this way these stanza forms are very important in poetry, and they contribute to the poem's rhythm, flow and aesthetic impact. Impact means influence and all that. Okay, and you go to the next very important point. Different forms of stanzas have unique structures. So different stanzas forms have different structures. That is quite natural. Okay, so different stanza forms are there in English poetry, and different stanza forms have different structures. Not all the stanza forms have the same form and the same structure. So different forms will have different structures and also patterns. That's a quite natural aspect of the stanzas. You go to the next one. Here are some common stanza forms given. Okay, some common stanza forms are discussed in this video, and let us learn about each and every one of those stanza forms. Right, now let's move on to the first stanza form. And what is this heroic couplet? A stanza with two lines. Okay, heroic couplet is a stanza of two lines, usually rhymed. Very clearly all points are given on the slide. Okay, please, even if you can read those points, you know, all those things will be of great help. So all unnecessary things are removed and only important points are given here for your convenience. See, it's a stanza with two lines. So any stanza with two lines is called what? A heroic couplet, and generally it is rhymed. Rhymed means the last word of the first line, the last word of the second line will be rhyming. They will be rhyming. Okay, that is one of the features of the heroic couplet. And what is the next feature? It is written usually in iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter means, first of all, you should understand what this iambic foot is. Okay, iamb or iambic foot. Iambic foot is what? One unstressed syllable plus one stressed syllable. Okay, this foot is called the dhum. In the musical notes, if I can teach you these metrical patterns, you can easily understand. What is an iambic foot means? Dadum. One unstressed, the other one is stressed. This is called one foot, and this one iambic foot is called iamb. What is that? Iamb. Shortly and sweetly, you call it iamb. Iambic foot is nothing but an iamb. And here, pentameter means there will be 5 feet like this. Okay, 5 feet. That means 5 iambs will be there. Okay, 5 iambs. 5 iambs means in each iamb there will be 2 syllables. Therefore, 5 twos are 10 syllables. So 10 syllables per line with an unstressed and stressed pattern. So this is there. Therefore, this is called an iambic pentameter. Pentameter means 5 feet line is called a pentameter. Iambic means unstressed and stressed. Dadhum, 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 dadhum. So in this way, there will be 5 iambic foot. That means 10 syllables will be there. One unstressed, the other one is stressed. Okay, and here one more important point I would like to give you here. Heroic couplets were popularized in English poetry by Geoffrey Chaucer. See, in those days, this heroic couplet, okay, the stanza form was popularized by Geoffrey Chaucer, and later it was extensively used by poets like Alexander Pope. And later on, this poetic form, this stanza form was extensively used by Alexander Pope in his The Rape of the Lock and other poems. You know that very well. So it was popularized by Geoffrey Chaucer, and it was extensively used by Alexander Pope. These 2 points you understand that. You understand from these 2 points, you understand from this point, and you go to the next important point about this heroic couplet. They often convey complete thoughts. So in these 2 lines, what happens? Some complete thought is expressed. So the thought will not be incomplete in these 2 lines. Whatever the thought is put in, that will be completed in these 2 lines itself. So that's why whatever the thought is expressed in these 2 lines will be over in those 2 lines only. And the thought will not enter into other lines, and that means enjoyment is not there. So that is the point you are learning here. They often convey complete thoughts and are characterized by formal elevated tone. So the tone of these 2 lines will be elevated, dignified, and these 2 lines are written in a formal language, in a formal tone, in an elevated tone. Elevated tone means in a dignified tone, in a grand style, and all that. And one more point here is they are popular both in traditional and modern poetry. See, these heroic couplets are popular not only in traditional poetry but also in modern poetry. So all these points are very, very important. And now I would like to give you 1 or 2 examples to make you understand how this heroic couplet will be. So now let's move on to the next slide. Now look at the first example. Example 1. Then share thy pain, allow that sad relief, more than share it, give me all thy grief. So this is a couplet taken from Alexander Pope's Eloisa to a Ballad. Some poem is there. From that poem written by Alexander Pope, this couplet was taken for an example. And let us now divide it into syllables, iambic pentameter. Iambic means unstressed, stressed, the dhum, that is the foot. So how many feet will be there? 5 feet will be there. 5 feet means what? 10 syllables will be there. Okay, in each foot there will be 2 syllables. So 5 pentameter means 5 feet meter. So that means 5 twos are 10 syllables. So here now let us divide this first line. Then share dadhum thy pain. Okay, dadhum. Allo dadhum, that sad dadhum, relief dadhum, something like that. So dadhum, dadhum, allo is 2 syllables, it's not a single word. Allo, allo, allo. So that sad, relief, there are 2 syllables in that. So Dadum, 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 dadum. So in this way, this is called an iambic pentameter. So in the second one also you can find the same meter. So in this way, in this couplet which is written in iambic pentameter conveys only one single idea, one single thought, and the thought will be completed in this couplet itself. You see that, then share thy pain, allow that sad relief, oh, more than share it, give me all thy grief. So the point is clear, the thought is clear in these two lines. In this way is a heroic couplet. You go to the next example. It is taken from William Shakespeare's Hamlet. Here see, the time is out of joint, oh cursed spite, that ever I was born to set it right. So here this is a heroic couplet written by William Shakespeare in Hamlet. Now you can divide it. See, the time is out of joint, oh cursed spite. The spite is taken for two syllables. Spite, spite, spite. So spite is taken for two syllables. In the same way, that ever I was born to set it right. So this is taken for two syllables. So whatever William Shakespeare did was right. We cannot question him. We cannot criticize him. So here in this way, in these two lines you can find iambic pentameter, right? Dadum, 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 dadum. So it is like that. So these two examples are given for your understanding's sake, right? Now let's move on to learn about other kinds of couplets. Okay, different types of couplets. See, there is not just one couplet, that is heroic couplet. There are other couplets too. So here I'm going to talk to you about those couplets also. So here let me tell you about those different types of couplets. So octosyllabic couplet is there. Octosyllabic couplet. Octo means 8 always, you know. Octosyllabic means 8 syllabic couplet. The name itself gives you the meaning of that couplet. So that means in that couplet, in each line there will be 8 syllables. 8 syllables will be there. It's like that. So let me give you one idea about this. A couplet with each line composed of 8 syllables. 8 is always called octave. Octosyllabic, octave is there in sonnet. Octave means 8 lines. 8-line poem is called octave. Sestet is 6 line, you know very well. So here octosyllabic couplet means, the couplet having 2 lines and each has 8 syllables. Okay, and here usually in iambic tetrameter. Tetra means 4 iambic feet. Tetra means 4, penta means 5, you know very well. And here one important thing I would like to tell you. The very next video you are going to watch is on meters, metrical feet, metrical patterns. So this is going to be a very, very important one. You can have some very solid idea about the meters in the English language, the metrical patterns in the English language, the metrical feet in the English language. So here you see that, iambic feet, how many iambic feet will be there? 4 iambic feet. That means 4 iambic feet consists of 2 things. Da plus dhum. So how many syllables are there? 2. So 4 iambic feet means 8 lines again. 4 2s are 8. It's something like that. So that is called iambic tetrameter. Okay, and these 2 lines will be there, and in this 4 4 4. Okay, 4 iambic feet will be there. Okay, that is called iambic tetrameter. Octosyllabic couplets are commonly found in medieval and early modern poetry, and these octosyllabic couplets could be found in medieval poetry, and they are also found in early modern poetry, often giving lighter or faster rhythm. And if the poem is composed in these octosyllabic couplets, that would give lighter or faster rhythm to that poem. So this octosyllabic couplet will give what? The lighter and faster rhythm in those lines. So that's the greatness of this octosyllabic couplet. And here some example is given for your understanding's sake. Oh, could I flow like thee and make? You see, thy stream, my great example take. It's there. It was taken from Jonathan Swift's On a Quiet Country House. So from this poem written by Jonathan Swift, this couplet has been taken. Now you can cut it into syllables. Oak, see, dadum. Okay, I flow, dadum, like thee, and make. See, dadum, 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 dadum. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 iambic feet are there. Therefore, it's called a iambic tetrameter. The second line is also like that. I don't want to waste my precious time. I would like to move on to teach you other important couplets. Okay, now let's move on to learn about other varieties of couplets. Closed or formal couplet. This is yet another very important variety of couplets, and here you pay attention. Each couplet stands alone as a complete idea. That means this is a couplet. You know, 2-line poem is always called a couplet. So whatever the idea that is presented in these 2 lines will be completed in those 2 lines only, and or any statement, any idea or statement, whatever the poet presents in these 2 lines will be completed in those 2 lines only. It won't enter into other lines. That means there will be no enjambment. Okay, enjambment you know very well. Enjambment means enjambment. You know very well, this B is silent. Okay, enjambment. Enjambment means flowing the idea into other lines. Okay, that is there. So here that idea will not flow into other lines. It will end in those 2 lines only. Okay, right. You go to the next point about this. Often used in traditional poetry forms. This closed couplet or formal couplet is used only in traditional poetry forms. The 2 lines are end stopped. That means, you know, a full stop is put here at the end of the second line, meaning they do not flow into the next lines. And that means this indicates that this idea is our statement is not flowing into the next lines. Okay, that is the meaning of that full stop. And here you go to the example. True wit is nature to advantage dressed. So here what oft was thought but never so well expressed. So this is again taken from Alexander Pope's an essay on criticism. So this example for closed couplet has been taken from Alexander Pope's an essay on criticism, and here let us cut it into syllables. Okay, here you pay attention. Pentameter is there in that. True wit, okay, dadum is ne, Chertu is ne, is no untrusted, is ne, Chertu, okay, advan, dadum, tage dressed. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, true it is ne, Chertu, advan, tage dressed. Tage dressed, tage is no. Tage dressed, you are dadum, tage dressed. So in this way, in this line you can find pentameter. In the second line also you can find pentameter. You can do it on your own, please. Now let's move on to learn about the third variety of couplet. Third one, open or run-on couplet. This is yet another very important variety of couplet, and here you pay attention. The thought expressed is not complete in these 2 lines. So in these 2 lines of the couplet, the thought, whatever the thought the poet presents will not be complete, and what happens? It flows over into the next couplet or verse 2. That means, you know, the idea presented in these 2 lines will also flow into other lines. So that is there. That's why it's called run-on couplet. Run-on, running from one couplet into another couplet. That is there. So or open couplet also you can call it, right? And one more important point about this is the style creates a continuous flow of ideas. So in the first 2 lines some idea is expressed and that will enter into another couplet, and the idea expressed in the second couplet will also enter into another couplet. Like that, you know, one idea will be entering into another couplet, from another couplet to another couplet, like that it will be going on. So here it will create some kind of continuous flow of ideas. So all the ideas will be kept on flowing and flowing and flowing from one couplet to another couplet and so on. So it is like that, and this is a very interesting one. One example is given for your understanding's sake. Here you pay attention. I went to town to buy a loaf of bread to see if I could clear my head. Some example is taken from some poem. I cannot remember the poet who has written these lines, but this is a couplet. Okay, here you pay attention. I went, so dadhum, to town, dadhum, to buy, dadhum, a loaf, dadhum, of bread. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 2s are 10. 10 means 5 iambic pentameter. So this line is written in iambic pentameter. Similarly, the next line is also written in that way. So, right. So this one example is given, and here this example demonstrates the idea of an open couplet with enjambment. So here this is one couplet. So this idea will flow into another couplet. From another couplet, another idea is expressed. Okay, and it will enter the other couplet. So like that, one idea expressed in one couplet will be entering another couplet, and there it will end. In the second couplet, the idea that begins will end in the third couplet. The idea that begins in the third couplet will end in fourth couplet. Like that, it creates some kind of continuous flow of ideas. So this is also a beautiful one, and you go to the next couplet. Shakespearean couplet is there. It's a very important one. And here you pay attention. This type of couplet appears at the end of a Shakespearean sonnet. So you know very well, a sonnet is a poem of 14 lines. You know pretty well about that. So in the Shakespearean sonnet, what happens now? There will be 12 lines, and the last 2 lines there will be a couplet, and that couplet is this couplet. That couplet is called this is Shakespearean couplet. Okay, in the Shakespearean sonnet, 12 plus 2 lines will be there. 3 quatrains. Okay, let is there 3 quatrains. Quatrains means what? 4 lines. 3 quatrains means 12, and 12 plus 2 couplet will be there. So in the Shakespearean sonnet, there will be 3 quatrains plus 1 couplet. So that couplet is called Shakespearean couplet. Okay, and that is there. So this type of couplet appears at the end of a Shakespearean sonnet, summarizing or delivering a twist to the poem. So in this couplet, the poet summarizes the idea presented in these 3 quatrains. 1 point. He may also deliver a twist in that couplet. There may be the summarization of the 3 quatrains, or there may be some twist in that couplet. So anything can be there in that couplet. So that was the poetic style this Shakespeare has maintained while writing a sonnet. So that's why that sonnet was named after William Shakespeare. It was therefore called Shakespearean sonnet. So in that sonnet, 3 quatrains will be there, 3 4s are 12 plus a couplet, and this couplet is therefore called a Shakespearean couplet. And here you pay attention, and you know very well pentameter is also there. So some penta. So for thy sweet love, remembered such wealth brings. Already I have cut it into syllables. So for thy, dadhum, sweet love, okay, dadhum, remembered such wealth brings. So 1 2 3 4 5. That is iambic pentameter is there in this line. So in the second line also you can find the same iambic pentameter. So here this is from William Shakespeare sonnet 29. This is very interesting, sonnet 29, showcasing the traditional Shakespearean couplet ending. So generally in the Shakespearean sonnets, the last 2 lines are nothing but the Shakespearean couplet. This is about Shakespearean couplet. Now let's move on to learn about other couplets. Split couplet is there. Split couplet. What is this split couplet? A split couplet consists of 2 lines. Okay, couplet itself means 2 lines of poem. 2 lines of poetry is called a couplet. You know that very well. When the second line is typically shorter than the other. Though the first line is longer, the second line is somewhat shorter. So this is a kind of couplet, and in this the first line is longer, the second line is smaller. That means in the first line there might be more feet, and in the second line there may be less feet, maybe so. And here are often creating emphasis or adding variety in rhythm. So if that kind of poem is written that conveys some kind of variety to the readers or some kind of rhythm to the poem, and that kind of poetry will be somewhat pleasant and entertaining to the readers. Okay, let me give you one or two examples to make you understand this. Okay, here one example is given. Okay, the night is deep and filled with stars. So this is iambic tetrameter. Tetra is written there. Tetra means 4 iambic feet. Okay, so the night, dadhum, is deep and filled with stars. Dadum, 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 dadum. So iambic tetrameter, 4 feet are there. So in this only 3 feet are there. Is a soft whispers, dadhum, float at, silence Mars. 1, 2, 3. So trimeter is there. Iambic trimeter is there. So that means, you know, this line is longer than the second line. So if that is there, it conveys some kind of beauty to the poem. It conveys some kind of variety to the poem, and the poem will be very entertaining to the readers and very pleasant for the reader. So that is there. So one more example also I would like to give you for your understanding's sake. See, beneath the waves secrets lie hidden, stories untold, mysteries forbidden. So here you just cut it into syllables, means beneath, there are 2 syllables in it, beneath, dadhum, the waves, secrets, 2 syllables are lie hidden. So like dadhum, dadum, dadum, dadum. Iambic tetrameter again. And here's stories untold, dadum, mysteries, dadum, forbidden, dadum. So 3 feet are there. That means trimeter is there. Iambic tetrameter, iambic trimeter. So it is like that. So in this way, in this split couplet, the first line will be longer than the second line, and this kind of couplet is written only to create emphasis or to add variety in rhythm and all that. And here some note is given. What is that? This is an original example to show the effect of having one line shorter than the other. So here it is there. This is shorter than this. This is short. So it's like that. Now you move on to the last couplet. 6th one, elegiac couplet is there. Elegiac couplet. Okay. So a form in classical Latin and Greek poetry where each couplet consists of a line of dactylic. Dactylic is what? 3 syllables will be there in that. Dum dada, dum dada. So that is called a dactylic. And a hexameter. Hexameter, 6 dactyls will be there. One dactylic foot is called dactyl. So a dactylic foot or dactyl. Hexameter means how many dactyls will be there? 6 dactyls will be there, followed by a line of dactylic pentameter, 5 dactyls. Okay, so here one line has 6 dactyls, the other line will have 5 dactyls. So that is there. So in this way there are 2 lines, and in one line 6 dactyls, dactyls, 6 dactyls, and in the second line 5 dactyls will be there. So it's like that. So 6 5 6 5, it will be going on like that, and you pay attention. Often use it for mournful or reflective themes. Elegy itself means a mournful poem or a reflective poem. Okay, mourning the death of some close friend. About this elegy also I'm going to make an elaborate video, a full video. Okay, right, because that is in our syllabus. Okay, and often use it for mournful and reflective themes. So that is there. Now one example I would like to give you here, that is, tears fall from heaven as gods look down in pity, as life fades softly, sweet and yet so gritty. So in the first line you can find 6 dactyls, in the second line you can find 5 dactyls. This is an original example intended to demonstrate the elegiac couplet with its reflective tone. This is the original example taken from the poem. Okay, and now let's move on to learn about other important stanza forms. Second one is the tercet is there. Tercet means a 3-line stanza. Okay, a 3-line stanza is called a tercet. Okay, a 2-line stanza is called a couplet. A 3-line stanza is called a tercet. So it's there. That can have various rhyme schemes, often a ABA. So this can be the rhyme scheme of these 3 lines. So that can follow A rhyme scheme or ABA rhyme scheme also. Any one of these 2 rhyme schemes, this tercet will follow, right? One example is given here. Okay, the wind blows free through the ancient tree and whispers to me. So it is like that. Okay, and here 3 lines are there. The wind blows free through the ancient tree and whispers to me. So free, tree, me. So A. So this is there, right? And this one example is given. And now we move on to the next stanza form. Third one, quatrain is there. Quat means 4th part. So quatrain means a 4-line stanza is called a quatrain. So a 4-line stanza, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4-line stanza. Any 4-line stanza is called a quatrain. Okay. Often with the rhyme schemes like ABAB or AABB or ABCB, whatever may be the rhyme scheme, these 4 lines might follow. But here what we are learning is the 4-line stanza is called a quatrain. A 2-line stanza, a couplet. A 3-line stanza, a tercet. A 4-line stanza is called a quatrain. That is the main point we are learning about the rhyme scheme. Okay, that is secondary, right? And we move on to the next important point about this quatrain. It is one of the most common stanza forms. Remember, this is one of the most common stanza forms. And here, this is there. Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you. So this is one small quatrain. Okay, and one more example is also given for your understanding sake. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches on perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. So in this stanza you can find 4 lines. This is a quatrain written by Emily Dickinson. Now we move on to learn about other stanza forms. 4th one, quintain or quintet. A 5-line stanza is called a quintain or quintet, whatever you can say, with varied rhyme schemes. Okay, we are not very much concerned about the rhyme schemes and all that. And here including AB, ABB, AB, or even free verse. Okay, generally this quintain or quintet is written with these rhyme schemes. Additional information I am giving you here. One example is given here. In the morning light, the dew is bright, birds take flight, singing with delight, till the fall of night. So in all these things, AB, ABB, some rhyme scheme is followed. So in this stanza you can find 5 lines. That is very important. A 5-line stanza is always called a quintet or quintain. Okay, quintain, right? Okay, now we move on to learn about the next stanza form. 5th one, sestet is there. Okay, what is the sestet? A 6-line stanza is called a sestet. Okay, often used in Italian sonnets as the second half. Okay, as following an octave. Okay, following an octave, an 8-line stanza. So in the Italian sonnet there will be first 8 lines, next 6 lines will be there. Okay, so these 8 lines plus 6 lines all put together, that is 14-line Italian sonnet. You know that very well. So this is called an octave and this is called a sestet. You find this sestet in the Italian sonnets only, right? And here one example is given here. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me, and this was the reason that long ago and in this kingdom by the sea. So here if you look at this stanza, you can find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This 6-line stanza is called sestet. This is very important that we are learning in this video. Okay, 2-line stanza, couplet, 3-line stanza, tercet, 4-line stanza, quatrain, 5-line stanza, quintain, okay, 6-line stanza, sestet. So this is an example taken from Edgar Allan Poe's Annabel Lee. Now you go to learn about the next stanza form. Septet is there. Septet, sep. So sep means 7, right? And here you pay attention. A 7-line stanza is called a septet and less common but occasionally seen in longer poems. This septet is a rarely used stanza form, okay? First point, it is occasionally seen in longer poems. So that is there. Whatever it is, a 7-line stanza is called a septet. Okay, and here one example is given for the septet. Within the woods I hear the call. A songbird sings above it all. The leaves they dance, the branches sway to nature's tune in sweet array. The brook does babble softly near, a melody that's crystal clear, whispering secrets to the ear. So here, if you look at this stanza, you can find 7 lines in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this 7-line stanza is always called a septet. Okay, now you move on to the next stanza form. 7th one, octave is there. What is this octave? Okay, octave means 8 line. An 8-line stanza is called an octave. Often used as the first part of a Petrarchan sonnet or Italian sonnet, and with an ABBA rhyme scheme. So that is there. So in the first part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is there. This is called octave. Okay, and the next one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is called a sestet. Okay, you know very well. Octave plus sextet. Octave is 8 lines, sestet is 6 lines, 8, 6 are 14. So you can find this in the Petrarchan sonnet, in the Italian sonnet, in the first part. Okay, and here some octave is given here. John Milton's When I Consider How My Light is Spent. From this sonnet, this example is taken. When I consider how my light is spent, ere half my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lodged with me useless, though my soul more bent, to serve therewith my Maker and present, my true account, lest he returning chide, doth God exact, day labor light denied, I fondly ask but patience to prevent. So this is the octave you can find in John Milton's When I Consider How My Light is Spent. So this is there. In this stanza you can find 8 lines, therefore it's an octave. It is the first part of the Petrarchan sonnet or Italian sonnet. Now you move on to learn about the next stanza form. 8th one, sonnet is there. Sonnet means, you know very well, a 14-line poem is called a sonnet. Okay, we are learning about that. Okay, a 14-line poem. Okay, so far you have learnt about, yes, the 2-line poem is called a couplet, a 3-line poem is called a tercet, a 4-line poem is called a quatrain, a 5-line poem is called a quintain or quintet, a 6-line poem is called a sestet, a 7-line poem is called a septet, and an 8-line poem is called an octave. So all these things were over, and now we are learning about this sonnet. What is this sonnet? This sonnet is a 14-line poem with a specific rhyme scheme and meter, usually iambic pentameter you can find, that you know very well. And here the most common forms are the Shakespearean and the Petrarchan. Okay, you can also call that Petrarchan sonnet Italian sonnet. Okay, right, the most common forms are the Shakespearean sonnet, and in that the rhyme scheme is, because in that 4 quatrains plus 1 couplet, A B A B, C D C D, E F E F, G G. So this is the rhyme scheme of this Shakespearean sonnet. And the Petrarchan sonnet is there. In that the rhyme scheme is A B B A, A B B A, C D C, D C D. Okay, or C D E, C D. So this is octave, this is sestet. Okay, right. And the sestet has a different rhyme scheme also. All these things you know pretty well. One example is given here. Example of Shakespearean sonnet is given. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. That will be continued, okay, on the next slide. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines. By chance are nature's changing course untrimmed, but thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou, oest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade. When in eternal lines to time thou growest, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. So this is the Shakespearean sonnet, and in this sonnet you can find 14 lines. Now we move on to the next important stanza form. Spenserian stanza is there. What is this Spenserian stanza? Here you pay attention. A 9-line stanza, okay? A 9-line stanza is called a Spenserian stanza with a rhyme scheme of ABA, BBC, BCC. So it's something like that. The rhyme scheme is given there, and a 9-line stanza is called a Spenserian stanza. And here the first 8 lines are in iambic pentameter. So of these 9 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are the 9 lines. So first 8 lines are there. That means all these lines up to this, are written in iambic pentameter, okay? Iambic pentameter. And the final line, Alexandrine, that is iambic hexameter. Hexameter means 6 iambic feet will be there. If there are 5 iambic feet, that is called iambic pentameter. If there are 6 iambic feet, then it is called iambic hexameter. So in all these 8 lines, you can find iambic pentameter. In the last one only, you can find the iambic hexameter. So one example is given from Edmund Spenser's The Fairy Queen, and here a gentle knight was pricking on the plain, you clad in mighty arms and silver shield, wherein old dints of deep sounds did remain, the cruel marks of many a bloody field. At arms till that time did he never wield, his angry steed did chide his foaming bit, as much disdaining to the curb to yield. Full jolly knight he seemed, and fair did sit, as one for knightly jousts and fierce encounters fit. So this is a 9-line stanza. This is taken from Edmund Spenser's Fairy Queen, and this stanza is named after Edmund Spenser, and therefore this is called the Spenserian stanza. Right, and now we move on to learn about the next kind of stanza form. 10th one, ballad stanza is there. Ballad stanza. What is this ballad stanza? A 4-line stanza with alternating lines of iambic tetrameter, 4 iambs, and iambic trimeter, 3 iambs, usually with an ABAB or ABCB rhyme scheme. So this is the rhyme scheme. Keep this rhyme scheme in your mind. So here what is that? Alternative lines of iambic trimeter. So 4 iambs will be there. A 4-line stanza. First line iambic tetrameter. Second line, okay, iambic trimeter. Iambic tetrameter, iambic trimeter. So like that, alternating lines of iambic tetrameter first, and the next iambic trimeter next. Tri means 3 iambic feet will be there, and tetrameter 4 iambic feet will be there. So 4 iambs, 3 iambs. So in the first line, 4 iambic tetrameter, in the second one iambic trimeter, in the third line iambic tetrameter, in the fourth line iambic trimeter. Like that it will be going on. So this kind of scheme, this kind of poetry is called ballad stanza. This kind of poetry you can find only in ballad stanza. And you go to one example. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright. So it is like that. Now let's move on to learn about the next stanza form. 11th one, terza rima is there. What is this terza rima? Let us see that. A 3-line stanza, tercet, with an interlocking rhyme scheme of ABA, BCB, CDC, often used in epic poetry. This terza rima is a 3-line stanza. Generally it is not used separately, but it is used in epic poetry. And in this, interlocking rhyme scheme will be there. Interlocking means A, B, A. Okay, this is the 3 lines. Next, okay, B, C, B. This B is, coming into this second stanza, and here C, D, C. So this is C is coming into the third stanza. So like the first stanza, second stanza, third stanza. This is called a 3-line stanza. In this way, this will be going on, and this kind of stanza is called terza rima. Not just one 3-line stanza. 3-line stanza is called tercet. But here you can find 3-line stanza, and like that three things will be there. Okay, a 3-line stanza with an interlocking rhyme scheme. Okay, 3-line, 3-line, 3-line. So this is the first tercet, second tercet, third tercet. So the rhyme scheme will be flowing from the first tercet into second tercet into third tercet. You can see B is flowing into the second tercet and C is flowing into the third tercet. So in this way, this kind of poetry you can find only in epic poetry. Okay, this is therefore called terza rima. This one example is also given here. Okay. This is taken from P.B. Shelley's Ode to the West Wind. Okay, what is that? First 3 lines, you see that? This is one tercet, second tercet, third tercet. Okay. O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn's being, thou from whose unseen presence the leaves dead are driven like ghosts from an enchanter fleeing, yellow and black and pale and hectic red, pestilence-stricken multitudes, O thou who chariotest to their dark wintry bed, the winged seeds where they lie cold and low, each like a corpse within its grave, until thine azure sister of the spring shall blow. So here you can find 3 tercets. This system is called terza rima. When 3 tercets come together with an interlocking rhyme scheme. See, A, B, A. This B is coming into the second tercet. The C is coming into the third tercet. So this is called interlocking rhyme scheme. This point you have to keep in mind. Okay, right. And you move on to learn about the next very important stanza form. 12th one, Villanelle. Villanelle, you know very well. Villanelle. This is a 19-line poem, okay, with 5 tercets followed by a quatrain. Okay, 5 tercets will be there. 5 into 3. 5 tercets means 5 3s are 15. Quatrain will be there. Quatrain. One quatrain is 4 lines. 1 4 is a 4. So that means 40. So in this way, a 19-line poem is called Villanelle. What is that? Villanelle, right. And using only 2 rhymes and repeating the first and the third lines alternatively in each stanza. For example, 5 tercets are there. Okay, let me give you one example. 1, 2, 3, first tercet. Okay, and here 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, here 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So 5 tercets are there. So here, what is that? This first, okay, repeating the first and the third lines alternatively in it. This is the first line. This is the third line. Okay, this is the of the first tercet, second tercet, third tercet, fourth one, fifth one. So you just look at this, you know. So this is the first line, this is the third line. This first line of the first tercet will repeat in the last line, and this third line of the first tercet will repeat in the next line. Again this first here, again this third here. Are you following me? The first line, the first and third lines of the first tercet will be repeating alternately. Alternatively means the first line of the first tercet will repeat in here and here. The third line of the first tercet will repeat in the second one. So alternately, first one, second one, first, second, like that it will be going. So it's a kind of system, it's a kind of poetic style. And lastly 4 lines will be there, that is called a quatrain. And in this way, in this Villanelle, you can find 19 lines, okay, and this kind of 19-line poem is called Villanelle. Okay, and now you move on to the next important point. The rhyme scheme is ABA, 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 like that. That is the rhyme scheme. And here, do not go gentle into that good night. This is one example. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. So this is one tercet. How many tercets will be there? Like that, 5 tercets will be there. Okay. And lastly, there will be one quatrain that you know very well. So this is the first tercet. Like this, there will be 5 tercets, and this first line and this third line will be repeated alternately in other tercets. That means In the next tercet, this will be repeated. In the other tercet, this will be repeated in the last line. In the fourth one, okay, this will be repeated. In the fifth one, this will be repeated, like that. So they are repeated alternately like this. Hope you are able to understand this. And next, this is the one example taken from Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. So some poem is there. Okay, this is Villanelle, and now we move on to learn about the next important stanza form. 13th one is there. What is this? Ottava rima. Here you pay attention. An 8-line stanza. Okay. An 8-line stanza is always called an octave. But what is this 8-line stanza? What is this Ottava rima means? With an AB, 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 CC rhyme scheme, often written in iambic pentameter. So 8 lines will be there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 lines will be there. And they are all written in iambic pentameter. Okay, that you know very well. And the rhyme scheme is this one. Okay, and here originally this is an Italian form used in epic and narrative poetry. This Ottava rima is not generally written in the sonnets. It was written in those days in the epic and narrative poetry. In those days, it was written in the epic poetry. It was also written in the narrative poetry. Now, it is not being used frequently in the poetry. It is rarely used. Only in those days it was used. And here, it was introduced to English poetry by poets like Sir Thomas Watt. So, this was introduced to English poetry by Thomas Watt. Later, it was used by poets such as Lord Byron. So, this is all about Ottava rima. One example I would like to give you here. Now let's move on to the next slide. So this is there, 8-line poem. Okay, so I want a hero, an uncommon want, when every year and month sends forth a new one, till after cloying the gazettes with cant, the age discovers he is not the true one. Of such as these I should not care to want. I'll therefore take our ancient friend Don Juan. We all have seen him in the pantomime, sent to the devil somewhat ere his time. So this is an 8-line poem written by Lord Byron. The title of this is Don Juan. So here, this is the 8-line separate poem. And octave is a part and parcel of some other poem, some sonnet. Octave is an 8-line poem, but it is a part and parcel of some sonnet, some Petrarchan sonnet or some Italian sonnet. But it's a separate stanza. It is not included in any other poetic form, stanza form, like that. So it's a separate. That's why now Ottava rima is what? A separate stanza form. Whereas octave is a part and parcel of the Petrarchan sonnet or Italian sonnet. That is the point you have to understand. And now we move on to the next stanza form. 14th one, rhyme royal is there, or Chaucerian stanza is there. Okay. What is this rhyme royal or Chaucerian stanza? Let us see. A 7-line stanza with an AB, AB, BCC rhyme scheme, typically written in iambic pentameter. So it's a 7-line stanza. Okay. It's a 7-line stanza. It's called rhyme royal Chaucerian stanza. Okay. Chaucerian, because this was introduced by, Geoffrey Chaucer is credited with introducing this form to English literature. This Geoffrey Chaucer introduced this form to English literature. Okay, and in works such as Troilus and Cresside. Troilus and Cresside, in that epic poem, he introduced this stanza form, right? And you know, it is also known as the Chaucerian stanza and allows for a blend of narrative and lyrical expression. So it is also called a Chaucerian stanza. Okay, now we move on to the next slide to see one example, right? So this is that, what is that? Rhyme royal or Chaucerian stanza. So this Troilus, as he was wont to guide his young knights, led them up and down in the large temple on every side, beholding the ladies of the town, now here, now there, for no devotion had he to none to reverence the cheer, but gone to present forth and make it known. So this is rhyme royal or Chaucerian stanza written by Geoffrey Chaucer in Troilus and Cresside. So this is the example. Okay, with this the stanza forms will come to an end. Now we are going to attempt a small exercise on all these stanza forms. So if you can understand all these stanza forms thoroughly well, you can easily solve the exercise that I am going to give you here. Okay, now let us move on to attempt one small exercise. Multiple choice questions on various stanza forms. Okay, I read out only the question and its options. You are only to choose the correct option. Okay, that is the job you have to do. Please try to answer all the questions on your own. Please first of all try to watch the video thoroughly well. Okay, if you can watch it thoroughly well, if you can understand the topic thoroughly well, you can easily answer all these questions. Answering these questions is very important. This only indicates that you have understood the video thoroughly well, very easily and all that. And here, what is a heroic couplet? Okay, and some options are given. A pair of rhymed lines in iambic pentameter, a stanza of 3 rhymed lines, a pair of rhymed lines in tetrameter, a quatrain with an AB rhyme scheme. Second question, which rhyme scheme is used in an Ottava rima stanza? Right, ABAB, AAB, BCC, ABAB, ABCC, ABA, BBCC. Some is there, don't get confused. Keep that rhyme scheme in your mind. It will be easy for you. Now we move on to other questions. Third one, who is credited with popularizing the rhyme royal stanza in English poetry? William Wordsworth, Geoffrey Chaucer, Alexander Pope, John Milton. Fourth question, how many lines are there in an octave stanza? 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. Fifth one, what is the rhyme scheme of a rhyme royal stanza? ABA, BA, BCC, ABA, BBCC, AA, BB, CCDD, AB, CB. Which stanza form is commonly used in Italian sonnets? Sestet, quatrain, tercet, couplet. Seventh one, an octosyllabic couplet consists of lines with how many syllables? 6, 8, 10, 12. What is a characteristic feature of a Spenserian stanza? It consists of 4 lines. It has an ABAB rhyme scheme. The last line is an Alexandrine iambic hexameter. It is written in free verse. Which poetic form consists of 5 tercets followed by a quatrain? Sonnet, Villanelle, rhyme royal, ballad. In a Shakespearean sonnet, what is the rhyme scheme? ABB, AA, BBA, ABAB, CDCD, EF, GG, ABA, BBC, PC, ABCB. Don't get confused, please. 11th one, which form does a haiku traditionally follow? 3-line stanza with 5-7-5 syllable structure, 2-line stanza with a rhymed scheme, 4-line stanza with an ABAB rhyme scheme, 8-line stanza with no rhyme. Which poet is associated with the extensive use of the heroic couplet? T.S. Eliot, Alexander Pope, Walt Whitman, Robert Frost. 13th question, a villanelle has how many lines in total? 14, 18, 19, 24. 14th one, what is the meter of an iambic pentameter line? 5 iambs per line, 4 trochees per line, 3 iambs per line, 4 anapes per line. See, remember, the very next video is about the meters in English poetry, the metrical feet and the metrical patterns. Please don't miss that video. It's a very important one. Okay, you can have a very good picture about the poetry, okay, in English, right? And you go to other questions. 15th one, which rhyme scheme is used in the ballad stanza form? ABB, ABAB, ABCB, ABBA. 16th one, in Terza rima, which of the following rhyme scheme is used? ABA, BCB, CDC, ABAB, CDCD, AABB, CCDD, ABCD, ABCD. 17th one, Which poet famously used Ottava rima in his work Don Juan? John Keats, Lord Byron, Percy Shelley, William Wordsworth. 18th one. Which stanza form is often found in English ballads? Rhyme royal, heroic couplet, ballad quatrain, terza rima. 19th one. How many lines are there in a Spenserian stanza? 6, 8, 9, 10. 20th question. A sestet is commonly found as the second part of which type of sonnet? Petrarchan, Shakespearean, Spenserian, Villanelles. With this, the small exercise will come to an end. And now let us look at the answers for all these questions. Answers. These are the answers for the questions from 1 to 9. And the next, these are the answers for the questions from 10 to 18. And these are the answers for the questions from 19 to 20. Okay, right. So these are the answers. First of all, you try to answer all the questions on your own. If at all you cannot answer any one of them, then you go to this slide. With this, this video will come to an end. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hello, dear DSC candidates. Thank you so much for watching this wonderful video. I hope you will understand all the things that I have explained in this video. If you have any difficulty in understanding any one of the things that I have explained in this video, please mention it in the comment section. And one more important thing, please support me and encourage me and my selfless work, and you share this video with all your friends, okay? And with another beautiful video on meters, metrical feet and metrical patterns, I'll be back to you. Until then, bye, see you, all of you, right.